Welcome back, everyone. Today, we continue our journey through the book of Exodus with chapter 16, a chapter that reveals God's faithful provision in the wilderness, even when his people complained and doubted. After leaving Elim, with its refreshing wells and palm trees, the Israelites entered the wilderness of Sin. It was only the 15th day of the second month since they had left Egypt, but already the people began to complain against Moses and Aaron. Hunger filled their hearts, and fear clouded their faith. They cried out, "If only we had died in Egypt! At least there we sat around pots of meat and had plenty of bread. But you have brought us out into this wilderness to starve us to death." The Lord heard their complaints. Instead of punishing them, he showed mercy and promised provision. God told Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven. The people are to gather only enough for each day, so I may test them to see if they will walk in my law. But on the 6th day, they are to gather twice as much, for the 7th day is a holy Sabbath rest." That evening, God sent quail to cover the camp, giving the people meat to eat. And in the morning, as the dew lifted, a fine flaky substance appeared on the ground. The Israelites looked at it in wonder and asked, "What is it?" Moses answered, "This is the bread the Lord has given you to eat." They called it manna, which means, "What is it?" God's instructions were clear. Each person was to gather only what they needed, 1 omer per person. Some gathered much and some little, but when it was measured, everyone had exactly what they needed. No one lacked, and no one had too much. But the Lord warned them not to keep it until morning. Still, some disobeyed, and the manna they kept overnight was filled with worms and began to stink. Moses was angry with them, because this miracle was meant to teach daily dependence on God. Every morning, the people gathered manna before the sun grew hot and melted it away. On the 6th day, however, they were to gather twice as much. Moses told them, "Tomorrow is a Sabbath rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake and boil what you need today, and keep the rest for tomorrow." Unlike before, the manna kept for the Sabbath did not spoil. This showed that the Sabbath was God's gift to his people, a day of rest and worship. Yet again, some disobeyed. They went out on the 7th day to gather manna, but they found none. The Lord said to Moses, "How long will you refuse to keep my commandments? See, I have given you the Sabbath. That is why I provide twice as much on the 6th day. Let each one remain where he is and rest on the 7th day." And so, the people finally rested. The manna was described as white, like coriander seed, and it tasted like wafers made with honey. Sweet and satisfying, it was God's daily gift to his people. Moses commanded that an omer of manna be preserved in a jar and kept before the Lord as a testimony for future generations, so they would remember how God fed his people in the wilderness. The Israelites ate manna for 40 years, until they reached the border of Canaan, the land God had promised. Through all those years, they learned that the Lord is their provider. Exodus 16 teaches us this truth. God hears our cries even when they are mixed with complaints. He is patient and faithful, giving us what we need each day. The manna reminds us to trust God daily, to rest in his provision, and to honor his commands. He is the God who provides bread from heaven, both for Israel in the wilderness, and for us today in our daily lives.